Hello and welcome to an episode of Maritime Foam. We just recently talked about 2 of the 3 curve shot blasters, and as I mentioned, today we're going to talk about the Helix, which I think is possibly the coolest of the curve shot blasters. So just a quick recap, if you haven't watched the other video, I'm just going to show you the other curve shots. We have the Sideswipe, which is a bolt action internal magazine blaster that holds 10. Really comfy grip and everything. Neat. I like it more after playing around with it during the review. And then we have the Reflex, which is a rival knockout style blaster. It's okay. It's no knockout. It's fine. And the whole gimmick of the curve shots is that we can twist this from and angle or curve gently our shots when we shoot. We can even curve them down if we're trying to hit up over a bunker. So that's kind of the gimmick of it. It does work. But yeah, that's the whole thing around this line. I'm not super big into going over what's in the box. We'll have a good look at the blaster after, but on the front and on the back, it's all about curve, and how does the gimmick work. Let's open it up and get into it. I'm gonna do my cheesy opening that I usually do. This is pretty neat. So the whole thing about the Helix, the way we load this shotgun is we have a hopper. I'll get some close-up video of this, but we actually have a hopper with channels in it where you put in the rounds and you put in a round and it rolls down into place. It's all angled. Looks like it would feed pretty well. So that's kind of cool. I'll fill this up in a second. I'll just get some close-up video when I do. This is kind of similar in concept to the Siege 50. You have a little window into a hopper that's built in. You dump in some rounds, pump and shoot. The problem with this one is the balls are just kind of in there loosely. They don't have that channel idea. I feel like this is all happening at the same time as the Helix, I'm sure. And you do get a lot of misfires with this, and you have to be holding it down in order to load it, which will probably be maybe similar with the Helix. We'll see. Something that I think is interesting about the Siege 50 and all of the Hyper line with the smaller rounds, there's no hop up. I'll get another shot to show that better. There's no hop up in any of these blasters, and the entire point of the curve shot blasters is this exaggerated hop up to control which way you're aiming. So kind of a weird choice to make the Hyper ones not have any. I kind of wonder if part of that is because of the rubbery, grippy ammo. Maybe it was causing problems, but you know what? People like Out of Darts and Drac, they've been adding hop-ups to their Hyper blasters and they've been performing better. So it seems like a weird move. It seems super easy to just dump ammo in here, and it actually holds a little bit more than advertised. You can actually, through this cool shape, this cool hexagon, I forgot what hexagons were for a second, this cool hexagon shape, you can actually see how much ammo you have. That's kind of neat. Oh, this is a little jam door with the feeding mechanism. I think I did see a video on the internals of this a while ago where it's almost like a windmill wheel at mini golf, where as it goes around it catches darts on either side, or balls on either side. And I think the advantage of that is, as long as you have a couple in this mechanism, even if you're tilted up, it'll load the next one, maybe? So we'll see. That's a stiff prime for sure. Ooh, nothing loaded. Oh, I wonder if I wasn't tilted ahead enough. There goes one. There goes another one. Ooh, this seems to hit pretty hard. That's kind of cool. I think for the very first one, I probably didn't have one loaded yet in that kind of wheel mechanism. I'm just going to experiment and see if I do this. No, I guess it does need to be tilted down. It's always a risk for anything where you're using a hopper. If I'm comparing this to previous rival blasters, I think the closest one would be the Artemis here, where it does hold 30 rounds, and we kind of discovered we could put 30 in the Helix. And this is also pump action as well. But, you know, no hopper here. We have 3 kind of rival magazine-like things. They're not actually, they're built in with springs. I guess when I do these, I like the idea of comparing to what's already been done and what's out there and what's similar. And honestly, if you're not crazy like me and you don't want all the blasters, what ones you can skip. But this seems, you know, for holding 20 some rounds, this seems cool so far. This piece, I'm gonna do some shots out in the yard after to show you the actual curving. I might see if I can get the kids to help me. The slide to prime it is very short. It's kind of not as smooth as I would have expected, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if the kids have any trouble with it. It is neat firing them with the curve. You definitely do see it. It is noticeable. I've rambled on a bit too much about this. Let's go outside and see it in action, and we'll see if we get any more jams or anything like that. Love that even after firing those few, I can just very quickly dump a few more in and keep going. I do find most rival, you know, once you actually run out of magazines that are loaded, it is very time consuming to load them back up and everything. The nice thing about hoppers is you can just kind of grab that handful from like an ammo pouch or something and just dump them in there. And the fact that it has those grooves where the balls just kind of roll into place is really neat. All right, I'm getting a little help for a firing demo. We're going to try out the Helix, curving some shots up and down and all around. Whenever you're ready, you can retaliate. Oh. All right, I'm going to try to curve it at you. Oh, wrong way. That was awesome. It's a little jammy in the firing mechanism, but I tilted it back and that seemed to fix it. Whoa. All right, I'm gonna try the firing down. You can fire down, but don't remember to aim down when you're reloading. That's really cool because that would have went over a barrier. I'm actually going to put a barrier up. And see. We're doing it like the commercials now. There's a barrier. Oh, we're both firing over the barrier. It's like equilibrium. The firing, having to tilt it down to reload. Always wear a mask, kids. Headshot. All right, I'm gonna try to curve one. Oh, I wish I knew which way curve was. User error. That was awesome. So, like line of sight, Ethan was covered and that curved right around the barrier. So that's actually pretty cool. Ew, what, sorry?
This one dips a lot more.
Right. Hit. Nice. That one works really well if you can get it to load. Which one did you find was the best between the Helix, the small reflex, and the side swipe?
The side swipe.
Side swipe?
It doesn't really jam that much. And it just doesn't, like, this one doesn't dip enough. That one dips too much, but this one's, like, in between and perfect.
It's the Goldilocks of curve shots. Thanks, dude. Don't mind the messy backyard. Retaining wall. So outside demo of the Helix, I still really like it, and I love that it has a hopper, but man, it did not feed dependably. The curve shot mechanic is actually really good, but I don't know, when you're in the heat of things, remembering to dip this blaster down so the balls could kind of run down that track and into the feeding mechanism was kind of hard to do. Both Ethan and I kind of struggled with that. But I don't know, still cool, but maybe I don't as firmly prefer this one as I thought I would. And you would think by now I would know where to look. It's over there. Cameras. Okay, Grace, what did you think of the Helix?
So, I liked it, but I wouldn't recommend it. It does have a good turn up here, but honestly, it's really hard to pump and it's hard to keep it down. So if you have little ones, older ones, it should be okay, but if you have little ones like me, then you might not want it.
And what about the Flex? After we tried the Helix and that was a bit tough, so we tried the Flex. What'd you think of it?
I really liked it. I enjoy it.
So a little disjointed, but it's kind of cool to see a couple different age ranges do that. So, you know, even 13 had a little bit of trouble with the Helix. I had a bit of trouble with the Helix at 42, making sure it was feeding consistently. And for, you know, that 8, 9, maybe 10, the Sideswipe and the Helix were a little tough to prime. Hey everyone, I'm back. We're gonna sum things up. I had a lot of different thoughts and takes while looking at this, and the kids were here and we did things off and on. So this is the alternate ending Schneider cut of my thoughts on the Helix and the Curve Shot series in general. It really suffers from the same issue that I had with the Siege 50, which is I ended up shooting it an awful lot and nothing happened because I was pumping it, you know, pointed up. So, which is very natural to do. We're not kind of used to having to do this when we load. And when I gave it to the kids, it was the same, they ran into the same thing. They ended up kind of dry firing it a bunch of times. And that's what really drove me nuts about this Hyper Blaster 2. I didn't end up liking it because of that as much as I thought. And for running games and things like that too, when you're just handing a blaster to a kid, they're just going to run into problems. And I don't want to spend all my time running games kind of solving the intricacies of really particular blasters. So I don't know. I almost wish that I had reviewed all of these together. When Ethan tried this one ended up being his favorite overall. Grace's favorite overall was this one. She just had a lot easier time priming it. The T-pull really helps with that too. Ethan really liked this one, again, just because it didn't misfire, is why he said, which I get. So this was a blaster I was kind of lukewarm on, that even after doing all these reviews, now I would almost say this is maybe the best one of the bunch, even though I'm not a big fan of this slide. So yeah, high capacity isn't everything if you don't get around in the chamber. I still think it's really neat. I still think it's, you know, designed pretty well. I think the lesson for me is that I might be a little bit wary of Springer powered hopper blasters. You know, at least in a motorized hopper blaster, you know, you usually have a belt or you have something kind of, even if you're leaned back a little bit, something is sorting these rounds and putting them where they're supposed to be. But in a Springer, it's just that one time. This one seemed to have the most power. And again, I'm sorry I don't have a chronograph. I'm going to get one. I could just go to other reviews and see what the chronograph readings were, but that feels kind of poopy to do. I don't really want to just kind of let them do the work, so I'd rather just kind of give an impression, and I'll give better information when I actually have it. But, you know, this one was shooting, I think, definitely around that 100 feet per second par. The Sideswipe seemed to shoot, you know, around the same, and then the Reflex definitely seemed a little bit softer, and I'm kind of judging that as much as anything from how much curve it actually put on it. This put on the least amount of curve, the Helix put on the most, and this one put maybe a tiny bit less than the Helix. That is my review of the Helix. Cool blaster. I don't know that it quite lived up to the hype that I was putting on it. Until next time, pew 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 pew. That's why I like flywheelers, so I can do that on the way out.